Today we're comparing every single move in Jujutsu Shenanigans to their anime counterpart. Get some food, get comfy, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new here. We're gonna start from weakest all the way to the strongest character based on season 3 of the anime. That means we're beginning with Locust Guy. One thing that I want to preface is that because I'm going through 130 plus moves in JJS, I'm not going to be explaining everything in super detail. If you want to know more in-depth details of why the character was added or why they have this special or all those cosmetic changes, then click this playlist right here. So as we all know, Locust Guy is a base only character, meaning he has no awakening moveset. So we're going to start with Clever, which is a barrage of punches that leave your opponent right in front of you. Pretty basic attack, but it does come from the anime. This is taken from this moment in season 2 of Yuji and Kogai trading blows. The next move, as you can see, is Black Mucus, which allows you to shoot a black mucus at someone. It has pretty good range on it. You can shoot it from far away, and it does tick damage, as you can see by the purple highlight. This is inspired by Kogai's last ditch effort to attack Yuji while he was being overwhelmed by his strength. Then we got Crushing Jaws, which does this long ass run attack, slam down, and sends him flying. To get into the running animation, you only have to land the third hit, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. This one is a little tricky because in season 2 of JJK, you can see Kogai do this chomping attack near Yuji, but he doesn't land any of them. So the attack is something he can do, but he didn't do exactly this. The next one is Wing Throw, which does as the name implies, and makes you fly and throw somebody. Now this is also something that he could probably do, but doesn't come from any specific scene in the anime. And the ultimate, being Directed Poison, works just like this. If you're fighting somebody and you press G, you will stab them with your stinger, most likely leaving your opponent to die. This again is also something Ko tried to do but was not successful. As Yuji was about to deal the finishing blow, he thought that he could use his special attack that he did not show previously, which was to extend his abdomen and sting Yuji with his deadly poison. But let's move on to the next trash character, Aspiring Mangaka. Charles' first move is Despair, which does all these. A nice short range barrage attack. In the manga, after Charles learned about Hikari's domain expansions rules, he was appalled by it and called it sacrilege, which threw him into a frenzy where he repeatedly stabs at Hikari. Next we have Shut Up, which is a weird attack that has to land backwards. It will then do all that. The reason why you have to attack backwards is because that's exactly what Charles had to do when faced off against Hikari. Since Hikari was avoiding Charles's vision by going behind him, Charles decided to do this backwards attack. Since Hikari was avoiding Charles's cursed technique by staying out of his vision going behind him, Charles decided to do this backwards attack to anticipate where he would be. There is also a variant for this attack if you were to do aerial. It does this really cool slam. This variant might be inspired by this panel of Charles jumping in the air over Hikari, but I'm not sure if he does that attack. We'll just have to see when the new season of the anime comes out. Okay, then we got Eye Catching, which is actually a counter attack. If nothing is done, it looks like this, and you will get stunned for a very long time. But if you successfully land this, not like that, then you will do that counter. Now, one cool thing about this move is that it can infinitely be done as long as you land the counter. I have no cooldowns on, but that is a thing. This is exactly like this moment in the Hikari fight after Charles explains his curse technique to him. So the only reason Charles was able to predict Hikari like that was because bro didn't know his curse technique. Then we have Sacrilege, which does this. It's a low forward dash attack that pops out 2 panels that sends your opponent away. The text boxes are quotes from the manga, but the move is pretty much original to the game. The name does have some lore accuracy to it because Charles did say that Hikari's domain was sacrilege. And lastly, we have the ultimate title, Foresight. If we go up to this guy fighting right here and we press G, we struggle and I hit him away. Now if I were to have my special equipped and do my ultimate, it will put me in this cutscene. Ooh. Yeah. And one shot the enemy. Ending shot after you finish them is directly inspired by this manga panel of Charles doing the exact same thing. The moments before it are similar to what happened, but not exactly like that. Okay, now we can move on to 10 Shadows, which has like 20 different moves. The first move for 10 Shadows being Rabbit Escape. This allows you to summon some rabbits towards your target that will follow him until they disappear. But they can fight back while the rabbits are swarming them. Megami's 6th summon is called Rabbit Escape as well, which does the exact same thing. The only difference you can really tell is that Megami has more of these rabbits. There is also a variant for this attack. If you were to go into your special and pop out with Rabbit Escape, you will do that. And you can see Megami use this variant in season 2 against the old man. Then we got my goat Nue, which summons in Nue to electrocute you down. Again, Megami's Nue is the same but used way more effectively in his hand. It is probably his most summoned Shikigami besides the Divine Dogs and can help him fly or combo attacks like he used here. The variant for this attack allows you to travel with Nue while hitting the enemies. This is something that you see Megami do often and is probably one of his primary ways of transport using his 10 shadows. After finishing someone with this attack, you can see that their body is electrocuted to a crisp. This is taken from his battle with Chizuru Hari in the next Culling Games arc. Megami uses Nui to electrocute Hari and slam him into the ground, incapacitating him. Then we got Toad, which does that, pulls them in with the Toad's tongue. Megami's 3rd summon is Toad and works just like this. Then we have a well-known Abyss. For those of you who don't know, that's when you add Toei and Nue together to do that move. Megami has the ability to combine multiple Shikigami into new ones. A well-known Abyss is when he combines Toad with Nue. He was first seen using this when Aotodo attacked him. Then we got the Divine Dogs, my boy, Totality. If you press him again after summoning him, it'll cause him to slash them up to 3 times. The Divine Dogs have been shown to come in a white and black pair, but after the white one died, Megami created Totality, which inherited the power of its fallen twin. Totality was first seen in their brief encounter with Hanami, showing off how powerful the 10 shadows can be. Also, there is a finisher for this attack because on the last slash you can actually chop off somebody's head, as you can see. The dogs actually can be seen eating curses, so that's why the finisher allows you to bite onto their head for a bit. Now we can get into the first awakened moveset of the video. Insanity allows me to get 4 new Shikigami, the first being Max Elephant, which if you hold down you can actually place. Megami's 5th Shikigami with the same name is an elephant Shikigami that can spew large volumes of water from its trunk or crush its master's target with its ginormous weight. Megami has used this attack in his fight with Noritoshi Kamo and soon Reggie. And then we got my favorite one, Great Serpent, which allows you to become this serpent that can travel in the air, hold targets, and poison them with stun. This is Megami's 4th Shikigami, which can quickly attack and ensnare its master's target. It appears suddenly from the shadows to immobilize a target within its mouth, making for an effective surprise attack. Then we got Shadow Swarm. This combo attack allows you to create 2 other clones that you jump somebody with, slamming them away. This is exactly what Megami did to Reggie Star. After using a gymnasium to create his domain, he then summoned 2 clones to attack Reggie and held him down, where Megami then slashed him. The next move is Domain Invasion Chimera Shadow Garden. This can be done by using Shadow Swarm on a domain expansion. It will actually allow you to create an opening between them that people can escape from, or enter if you're feeling like Toji Fushi Girl. This is a callback to Megami's moment in Shibuya where he breaks into Dagon's domain in order to cancel his sure hit effect and help his fellow teammates escape. The next move is Mahoraga. To do this attack, you need to have someone click Mahoraga and get off these 3 or 4 chants. So it's actually 3. Then once you're put into this ritual scene, you will turn into Mahoraga. Now, don't ask me why Mahoraga looks like that. It's Halloween, alright? While you're Mahoraga, you will get a completely new moveset. You are now way more durable, but your blue bar will go down if you're not dealing attack damage. As you can see, it's going down very heavily, but if I hit this, it stays up. 8-handled sword divergent sealer divine general Mahoraga is the most powerful Shikigami in the 10 shadows that no one in the Zenin clan has ever been able to defeat. This Shikigami's main power is adaptability, and it can be shown through its divine wheel, but more on that in a second. The first move is divine pummel. It allows you to grab them with your sword that I forget the name of and slap them around. Just like the anime, Mahoraga is equipped with the sword of extermination. This is the thing you're going to be doing most of your attacks with, and is a sword that is engulfed in positive energy, which is very effective against cursed spirits. Luckily for Watermelon Boy, he is a human. The next attack is ground pitch, and it picks up a piece of dirt or stone and throws it at someone. If I were to be next to him, I would actually pick him up and throw him instead. And if I were to be very lucky and get the variant, I would be able to throw him off the map. Aura! But ground pitch doesn't come from anything. What also doesn't come from anything is earthquake. If I slam down right there and hold it at perfect time, when that square hits the second square, it actually does a second impact. This is a very good move because when you're Mahoraga, the whole lobby likes to attack you, but it doesn't come from anywhere. This move does though, and if he's not standing in rubble, I might be able to TP it. It is called takedown. And if I do that, I can TP to him, blitz him, and punch him across the map. This is actually one of the first attacks that Mahoraga did to Sukuna during their clash in Shibuya before he realized that Sukuna was him. And no, of course, Ten Shadows doesn't just have 4, 8, 12 moves. Of course, he has more because if you press Special and Awakening, you actually go into your other mode. There are 3 modes currently in the game, the first being Takedown, which I just showed you. The next one is Adaption. This watermelon hits me, I can actually parry him. This is inspired by Mahoraga's main power of adaptability. The last attack is World Slash, and apparently this guy thinks he's Maki, so let me just show you. You're gonna charge up an attack, and Mahoraga has his own World Slash attack because it was his adaptation that made it possible for Sukuna to boost his shrine to be able to bisect space and time itself. Yes, that's a lot of words to say nothing. It's broken. He shouldn't have hit Gojo with that. It don't make sense. Comment down below if Gojo should have died. Next up, we have Blood Manipulator, aka Choso. First attack is Piercing Blood. This attack causes you to put your hands together and shoot blood. There's also a variant for this attack which allows you to use your special in combination with it to hold it down. You can tell by the steam coming off of your hands. And if you release this attack, it does a way more powerful version of the base one. Choso does this in the anime as well. He creates a deadly fast blood beam fired through the seams of his fingers that can be bent and shaped how he likes. The base attack is a lot like Kamo's, but the variant is more like Choso's use of it. This is just due to Choso being a cursed painting, which allows him to be able to create blood using his cursed energy, therefore making him way more powerful with a blood manipulation technique. Then we got Flowing Red Scale, which is a basic combo attack that does that. Flowing Red Scale is used to improve the performance of the user's body by pumping blood faster throughout their body, allowing them to take in more oxygen. This then improves their pulse rate and the number of red blood cells, granting a drastic increase in strength and speed. But Choso doesn't do this exact combo. There are a lot of variants in this move, but the only one that's slightly more accurate is Flowing Red Scale's aerial variant with convergence, which will put down one of these blood orbs that can be remotely detonated by using your special. This is actually something Choso has done and can be seen in his fight against Kenjaku. Then we got Supernova, which is a counter attack in base that allows you to do that and get your orbs without draining any of your blood ult bar. Now, if you were to have blood and use Supernova, you actually throw out a blood orb that can also be remotely detonated. Now, this move is very lore accurate to JJK, but in its own way. Supernova is Choso's original technique that he created after honing it for 150 years. It detonates several orbs of blood condensed with convergence and fires reinforced blood bullets in every direction. That is the second part of the attack. The first part of the attack is inspired by the moment that Yuji was defeated shortly after Choso found out that he was like his little brother. You can see him do this exact combo, but with much more devastation. Then we got Blood Edge. This attack can cause you to grab onto somebody and slam them down, or pounce on them and slam them down from a distance. Blood Edge is something that he does and allows him to shape and strengthen his blood's lethality by rotating it at a high speed, allowing Choso to shape the blood outside of his body into a dagger. Choso doesn't do this exact combo, but definitely could if he wanted. Now we can go into the Awakening. I forgot that I could put on the skins for the other characters, my bad. But the first move in here is Slicing Exorcism, and if you use your R, equip some blood, and do Slicing Exorcism, you will use all that blood to shoot them down. Choso did this in the subway when him and the Disaster Cursors were trying to jump Gojo. But this move also has a variant. If you were to press 1 and special right after that, you'll actually throw this blood saw that goes really far. It can also bounce off of walls and hit multiple targets. The variant is directly taken from this moment in Choso vs Yuji, and as you can see, it's the exact same saw. Then we got Wing King, which does this crazy combo, finishing off with you pulling your arm back in with blood and punching them to the ground. Now, when you have your convergence equipped and you use your special, you can actually do this really cool version of it, doing extra damage. This move is taken from the Cully Games arc when Choso got his fade on Kenjaku. This move was inspired after he started remembering his little brothers, specifically the ones that Yuji killed. Then we got Blood Rain, which allows you to summon up this giant ball and rain down blood everywhere you go until you run out of blood. This is similar to his moment against Kenjaku, where after shooting piercing blood into the air, he was able to summon the blood back and rain it down on him. The last move is Plasma Wave, and this ginormous attack causes you to charge up all your blood blasting people away. Now this is a very special move. It comes from nowhere. This is not something that Choso does. I don't remember him doing this. If you remember Choso doing this attack, like something like this, not piercing blood. This is way more than piercing blood. On to the next character, who is also Yuji's brother, Switcher, otherwise known as Aoi Todo. His first move is Swift Kick, which allows you to kick the person, run at them, and throw them on the ground. This is taken from this sequence during the Shibuya incident arc where Todo and Yuji faced off against Mahito. You can see him perform the spinning kick, but he doesn't land, and when he goes for the throw, Mahito counters him. Then we got Brute Force, which is just an insanely strong punch. Todo is a martial arts master and extremely physically strong, but he does not do something like this in the anime or manga. So he could do this move, but doesn't have a named attack like this. Then we got one of my favorite moves in the game, Pebble Throw. If you click it once, it'll allow you to shoot this rock at somebody. If you click it after landing, you will then do that combo. Todo's curse technique allows him to swap with things that have been infused with his curse energy, like here with these pebbles or with this rock, but we'll get to that in a bit. The next move is Elbow Drop, and it just causes you to uppercut somebody in the air and slam them down. I don't know where this comes from, and I don't remember Todo ever doing something like this. Okay, now we have one of the variants called Power of Brotherhood. One thing I left out about Pebble Throw is that if you shoot it and press R beforehand, you will actually start gliding with it. Now, if you were to glide with it, press Brute Force and time it, you will do that Black Flash. And if you do that as a finisher, you will do that. This is a 1-for-1 interpretation of Todo's Black Flash on Mahito during season 2. But now we can get into my boy's awakening, which plays out this dumbass scene that is taken from season 2 as well. The first move is Idol's debut. You can see him do that just like Mahito did. Then we have climax jumping. With the stand-up just like he did. Then we have dreams, which is just 3 strong punches. And then finally brothers. Now if you use this without a counter, you will just swap in Yuji and Black Flash somebody. But now if you were to use this as a counter, you will get that insane teleported Black Flash. The counter of this attack is almost identical to this scene where Todo does exactly that by swapping with Yuji using Mahito's hand, even after losing his own, which essentially kills this technique anyways. Next up is one of the most despicable characters in all of Jujutsu Kaisen, Mahito, otherwise known as Perfection. The first attack is called Stockpile and allows you to swing these 2 mallets at them. Mahito used both these hammers in his battle against Yuji and Todo in the subway. The variant for this attack allows you to do an aerial attack that slams down on them, and you can see Mahito do exactly this. The next attack is Soulfire and causes you to shoot 3 projectiles at someone. Mahito can be seen shooting and manipulating these transfigured humans all throughout Shibuya. And then we got Focus Strike, which is a multiple part move. The base of this does that. But if I were to time it like it was a Black Flash, it will do that. And finally, if I do that finisher on someone, it will launch them in the air and explode them. And as they come out, you will get a transfigured human, just like the ones you shoot in Soulfire. Although this is an item in game, I would allow you to create a wall. The base attack is just too basic to know, but the variant is a callback to Mahito's first Black Flash that he landed on Yuji. Then there comes a Focus Strike variant called Chain Whip. While you're in your Swords M1 mode and do Focus Strike, you will do this whip attack that pulls somebody back into you. Mahito used similar chains against Yuji at the high school in season 1. And then we got Body Repel, which allows you to use these transfigured humans to create some sort of train-like monster. The variant for this attack allows you to use Focus Strike to travel with it, allowing you to be closer to your opponent. This is an actual move that Mahito used and can be seen all over his fight with Yuji. The variant is referencing this scene where Mahito comes out of his mouth to punch Yuji. Now let's get into the Awakening. The first attack in the Awakening is Idol Transfiguration, which allows you to run towards your opponent and slam them away. But on the second use of this attack, you will actually explode their head. Out of that second one, you can also hit more people with Idol Transfiguration. This is Mahito's innate curse technique and what makes him especially dangerous because you literally can't be touched by him. But the finisher is a funny callback to Nobara's death to Mahito in season 2. Then we have Body Disfigure, which does this little drill attack if you land a kick. Then we have Heart Piercer, which allows you to do this little stab thing if you were to be in your sword special. And finally, Force Grab if you were to be in your club special. This can also allow you to slap them down And while Drill Splitter and Heart Piercer aren't from anything, the Force Grab is. This is taken from his fight with Nanami and Yuji, where he held both of them up with a giant fist. Then we got Spike Wrath, which causes you to turn into this blob, pull people in, and slam them down, but I don't think that comes from anything. And the last move in the Awakening is Embodiment of Self-Perfection, which is the Domain Expansion. After being in this Domain Expansion, you can see that there's a bar next to somebody. If you're close to them, they will explode. You can also still use your moves in here to get this. Mahito's Domain Expansion creates an environment where he is automatically connected with the souls of anyone inside and is capable of transfiguring them at will. But there is still more to this character. There is a Super Awakening. By pressing your Awakening button again, you will get this black flash and be able to punch somebody. After waiting for your idle transfiguration cooldown, you can do it again, and you will then get turned into your Super Awakening. Mahito's Black Flash of Toto allowed him to finally see the contours of the soul, which led him to awaken just like in game. In this mode, if you were to dash at somebody, you will actually slash them. Inspired by this moment after he transformed, the first move you can do is Widespread Strikes, and after spinning around, you can grab onto somebody and do this. Taken from his brief exchange with Yuji right after he awakened. The next move is Face Blitz, which allows you to blitz at somebody, grab onto them, bounce a few times before slamming them like a basketball. Inspired by this attack that left a crater in the ground. Then we got Crushing Rushdown, which will just allow you to grab somebody with these black whips, run through the map, and throw them very far away. He does have whips that he can use like this, but this is not an attack he does in the anime. And finally, Head Splitter, which is a counter attack that forces you to go into this position. If you were to land it on somebody, you will spin behind them and one-shot them. The way you are standing is just like when Mahito was flexing on Yuji, but he does not counter and cut off his head, of course. Okay, now we can get into the main character of Jujutsu Kaisen, Yuji Itadori, otherwise known as Vessel. The first attack is Curse Strikes, which does this little combo. This is taken from Yuji's second fight with Mahito during the Shibuya incident arc. There's also an aerial variant for this attack, which allows you to slam somebody down. If done as a finisher, you will actually Black Flash them. The variant is inspired by his battle against special grade Curse Spirit Hanami, where he delivered that kick that ended up being a Black Flash attack. The next move is Crushing Blow. There's also an aerial variant for this attack, which allows you to slam them. This is most likely original to the game, but I did find a similar scene to this in season 1 of JJK. The next attack is Divergent Fist, which is just a simple punch attack. After Yuji lands a punch on a target, his curse energy flows and makes a stronger second impact. Divergent Fist was often used initially, but after Yuji's fight with Todo and the third year's critique of this attack, he practically stopped using it. Now Divergent Fist is used twice. By timing it properly, you can actually do a Black Flash. Yuji Itadori has been stated to be chosen by the Sparks of Black. Nobody has as many Black Flashes as him, as well as him holding the title for the most consecutive Black Flashes. That's why you can do a Black Flash at will. Then comes the Black Flash chain, and that's because if you punch somebody behind them 4 times, you will actually get a special Black Flash chain attack that looks like this. This is slightly inspired by Yuji's 8 consecutive Black Flashes he lands on Sukuna in the final arc. The finisher for this attack probably shows it off better. Jesus Christ. As you can see, there are a lot of similarities. Then comes Manji Kick, which is a counter that allows you to do that. The ancient Taito martial arts technique knee release is something Yuji has mastered and used against Mahito and Sukuna. King of Curses is the awakening, and it allows you to become Sukuna. Well, not really. Sukuna becomes you because he's possessing your body. But the first attack of the awakening is Dismantle, which launches a slash of barrages. There's also an aerial for this. If you were to jump, you can do that. This is Sukuna's default range slashing attack that is normally used for inanimate objects. However, it can be used against cursed spirits and sorcerers to great effectiveness. And Sukuna has been seen doing aerial slashes like this all over his fight with Maharaga. Then comes Open. This long range projectile attack shoots a burst of fire very far away or wherever it hits first. Now Sukuna can only perform Open after using his Dismantle and Cleave, and is most effectively used within his domain expansion. Although this version of Open looks way more similar to the one he did to Jogo. More on that when we get to the strongest of history. Next up is Rush, which is a dash attack that allows you to run forward kicking somebody up and slam them down. This is also inspired by Sukuna's fight against Joko, with some similarities between this moment from season 1 where he attacked Megumi. Then comes one of the strongest domains in all of Jujutsu Kaisen, called Malevolent Shrine. In this domain, you will get a Buddha temple, and everything and everyone will have rapid, never-ending slashes coming towards them. These are blockable, but remember, I can still attack while in here. This is Sukuna's domain expansion that engulfs anyone inside with slashes. Sukuna is more known for his open domain, but he did use a barrier for his domains during his clash with Gojo. And last but not least, the secret move of this attack, which is the world-cutting slash. By doing the combo 1, 3, 2, RR, you will do a world-cutting slash. This can also be done in the air like that. Obviously, this comes from Sukuna's real world-cutting slash that he used to beat Gojo, but not exactly the slash that killed him due to Sukuna not needing any incantations for that slash, which was why Gojo could not anticipate it. After killing Gojo with that, he now needs to read all these incantations to do it. That's why Maki was able to dodge and all the other people. Following that is my boy Restless Gambler, otherwise known as Kinji Ikari. Reserve Balls is the first attack that allows you to shoot this small projectile, creating stun. This is one of the visual effects in Hikari's domain. He used this attack against Charles during the Culling Games arc. The next attack is Shutter Doors, which allows you to trap your opponent briefly. This is another one of the 3 visual effects that Hikari uses, also seen in his fight with Yuji and again in this battle with Charles. Then we got Roughed Energy, which is just a very strong uppercut. You can see him punch Yuji with a similar attack when he was testing his resolve, or when he gets the jump on Kashimo. The variant for this attack is an aerial that allows you to slam onto the ground. The variant looks just like this panel of Hikari slamming down into the ground. Then we got Fever Breaker, which does that. This is probably inspired by this kick that landed on Yuji during their meeting in the Perfect Preparation arc. Then comes the epitome of Jujutsu Sorcery, which is domain expansion titled Idle Death Gamble. Activate this by pressing G and going into your awakening, which will force you into the domain, where you then need to reach the requirements to get into his jackpot. This is Hikari's domain expansion that no one seems to understand. The basic premise is to try and hit a jackpot, and to do so, one must line up 3 of the same symbols decorated with one of these baddies and play the rules of the game. There's also a cool thing that you can do in this domain, like that. That is called the consecutive effect. After using a reserve balls and pressing your special, this will reset your HP and your positioning, and it's something that Hikari also does in his domain. Also, while in your jackpot, Tukadanka will start playing, but for copyright purposes, I don't have music on. The first move in your awakening is Lucky Volley, and it's just a barrage of punches, ending off with a big slam. We have only ever seen Hikari in jackpot once against Kashimo, so all of these will be mostly original to the game. This one is taken from Hikari's clash with Kashimo while there was a freight container between them. The next move is Lucky Rushdown. It makes you run towards someone and throw them up in the air. The next move is Overwhelming Luck, which will cause you to go into this fury, slamming someone, giving them a lot of stun, picking them up, while also being able to hit people as you go by spamming M1. And the last attack is Energy Surge, which does that. None of those have any identical moments from the manga, but we'll probably understand it better during season 3 of the anime when he actually fights Kashimo. Now for the final base only character, Yuki Tsukumo, otherwise known as Start Rage. Your first attack is Garuda Rebound, which allows you to kick your Shikigami just like that, as well as pull them back in if you use the variant. This is taken right from chapter 204 of the manga, when Yuki joined the battle against Kenjaku after Choso's defeat. Kenjaku summoned a special grade curse to help reveal Yuki's technique, but she went blue lock on his ass and one-shotted it by kicking Garuda. Now that looks kind of puny, but if you were to charge up the special for this attack, you can do that. And that looks much more similar to the version that Yuki did. The next attack is Rising Rage, which is just 2 kicks. You can see Yuki doing various light kicks in her fight against Kenny, but this is most likely comes from chapter 206 where Yuki was seen doing various combo attacks. The next attack after that is Mass Breaker. This charge up punch will launch her opponents away and is lore accurate to the manga. As Yuki is explaining what her curse technique actually does, she charges up an attack similar to this before blitzing Kenjaku and hurting him. The similarities in the charge up and the devastation of both attacks lead me to believe they're connected. The last move being Garuda Stab, which is a close range stab attack that slams them away. You can see Yuki use Garuda in this exact same way against Kenjaku in chapter 207, but was to no avail. You also see Yuki do a similar axe kick in the flurry of combinations she was throwing in chapter 205, but I think this attack is a mixture of both of them. And lastly, we have the Awakening. Now to use this Awakening, you need to be dead. Not inside, I mean outside. But once I die, I can do something very spiteful and if I press G and hold R while holding on to someone, I will create a black hole. Jesus Christ, that's tough. With all else failing, Yuki decided to sacrifice herself to save Choso and Tengen by creating a point in space so dense that it created a black hole. So shout out to Yuki for trying, but the next character is one of my favorite in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. Defense Attorney, otherwise known as Hiromi Higuruma. Now, almost every variant for Defense Attorney is a block break, and not all of them are going to be specific to the manga, so we'll only talk about the ones we need to. The first attack is Extended Swings, which does these slashes before slamming them on the ground. This might be inspired by this sequence of strikes that he did to Yuji in chapter 165. The second attack is a little more goofy and is called Justice Serve. This allows you to manipulate your hammer into a giant mallet and slam them on the ground. This is just like the giant hammer he created to smoosh Yuji in chapter 165. Now the next move is Judgment's Reach, and the one after that is Twirling Strikes. But I don't think these come from anything in the anime. But something that does come from the anime is the Awakening titled Deadly Sentencing. This works just like Hikari's and will force you into your domain expansion. The difference about this domain is that you have 3 options: Confess, Silence, and Denial. You need to choose the same option that your opponent chooses for you to get into your Awakening. I think that they're gonna say Confess. They did not. See? Told you. When getting one thing right, you will get a bar. You need 3 bars to get into your Awakening, and you do have a time period. If you were to get them to confess to the crime, you will get all 3 right away. And if you were to confess to the crime, and they did as well, you would get all 3 bars right away. Boom. After doing that, you see that my hammer gets turned into the Executioner's Sword, and that is basically the most important thing about this whole Awakened moveset. The domain is a simplified version of the real thing because of the actual laws and rules that must be taken into consideration when having a trial. On top of the fact that Judgment is also able to appear into your life and bring up instances, giving Higuruma evidence to create his case. The first attack is Execution, and it causes you to charge up this long attack before slashing somebody. Now, if you look closely at this guy, he don't got an arm, and if I did it again, he don't got a leg, and if I did it one more time, he dead. I couldn't find anything exactly like this in the manga, but the missing arm is a callback to when Sukuna chopped off his own hand before he was penetrated by the Executioner's Sword in order to save his life. The next attack is Final Judgment, and it's a long run-up attack that causes you to get into a quick time event with your opponent in order to defeat them. I think the run-up animation for this attack is very similar to what he did to Yuji in chapter 166, but the finisher is more like the attack Higuruma tries to land on Sukuna in chapter 246, right before bro gets destroyed. The last 2 attacks of this Awakening is Verdict, which does this, and Triple Sentencing. But I couldn't find anything on either of those attacks. The next character is the latest free character to be added to the game, called Cursed Partners, otherwise known as Yuta Akotsu, and Rika Orimoto, I guess. The first attack for Cursed Partners is Severing Paths that does this little slash combo. This is not taken from anything specific because Yuta uses his sword all the time. The second attack is Resolute Slash and will cause you to teleport behind your opponent and slash them. The base of this attack is taken from Yuta versus Geto, and specifically from this moment. Yuta speed blitzes behind Geto, but his attack is stopped and his katana broken, so Yuta just black flashes Geto instead. And the answer is yes, you can do this in game as well, but it has to be done as a finisher, and you also have to interrupt their attack. As you can see, this dummy is punching the air, and if I time it right, yeah, I could do a black flash, which is exactly what Yuta did. The next attack is Veil Step, which allows you to do this backwards dash and then a slam on the ground, but comes from nothing that I could find. After that is Revolve, which is a 2-part attack that can launch somebody in the air and slam them to the ground. This might be alluding to Yuta versus Yuji, where Yuta stabs Yuji through the chest, killing him. Now, before we get into the Awakening, I need to tell you about this girl. She has her own moveset, as you can see. The first attack is Rika Down Slam, which just punches somebody or literally down slams them. Rika is the most versatile curse you can have at your side due to her being fully autonomous in her goal to protect Yuta. She can fight alongside him and will often engage in hand-to-hand combat with their opponents. You can see her doing similar attacks in her fight with Geto, Ryu, and Sukuna. The next move is Rika Launch, which allows you to be boosted into the air. You can see Yuta do this exact thing in his 2v1v1 against Ryu and Uro. Then comes Rika Throw, which can do that. This goofy attack is literally something they did in the manga, the main difference being that Rika throws Yuji instead of Yuta. Then comes Rika Grab, which can only be done when your opponent is ragdolled. Rika has done this twice in the manga, once against Yuji and then another time against Sukuna. Then while in your awakening, you have Rika Slam, which does that. And Rika Haymaker, which is just a strong punch, but I couldn't find anything for those. What I do know is that the first move is Elbow Rush, which causes you to do that. I think this is taken from the barrage attack on Uro because this panel looks similar to the barrage of punches that you deliver. The next one is Copy, and I'll give you an example of how it's used, but this is very obviously almost exactly how Yuta's innate technique works, with the big difference being how you obtain the copied curse technique. It would be too hard to have to consume somebody using Rika and JJS, so instead you just have to hit them. Then we got a very big attack called True Love Beam. This will cause you to gather up your curse energy, including Rika's, and shoot it out into a burst that will literally eviscerate anyone. This is exactly like Yuta's True Love Beam that he used to kill Geto. It is essentially a highly dense output of curse energy. Another cool thing you could do with this attack is the variant. By pressing True Love Beam again after gathering it up, you could just do a quick beam that sends anybody flying. This is also a lore accurate attack because Yuta does exactly this against Uro in their fight. Rika seems like she's doing a True Love Beam, but actually shoots a small fast beam that Yuta uses to distract Uro while attacking him from the side. And then comes Yuta's domain expansion titled Authentic Mutual Love. This will put you in a domain that looks like this, just like his anime counterpart, equipped with red swords that have all of your saved curse techniques in it. Also, after landing all these sword attacks, I can use it again to do Jacob's Ladder. Your domain expansion is exactly like Yuta's and is one of the most lore accurate domain expansions in the game. As well as for Jacob's Ladder, unlike Hanakurusu, Yuta activates this technique by making a hand sign. By imbuing technique extinguishment into his domain's barrier, Yuta's Jacob's Ladder was guaranteed to hit Sukuna, heavily damaging the King of Curses and further weakening the connection between him and Megami Fushiguro's body. Okay, now we're getting close to the end here because the next character is the Honored One, otherwise known as Satoru Gojo. Your first attack is Lapse Blue, which allows you to pull the target in and kick them away. Gojo did a similar attack using his blue during the hidden inventory arc. You can also pull somebody in and use your special while in mid-air to kick them down. This is another thing Gojo did when he TP'd and kicked Miguel down just like that. The next attack is Reversal Red, which does this low projectile that explodes upon contact. This is another basic property of Infinity that Gojo uses at will, but there is a variant that allows you to teleport behind somebody if you use your special. If you interrupt somebody's attack with this, it will say Aka, which means red in Japanese. The variant is now a much more lore accurate version of the teleporting Reversal Red he shot at Toji after his awakening. The next attack is Rapid Punches, which causes you to put somebody into this long ass combo before sending them away. This is similar to the barrage he did on Miguel. And then comes Twofold Kick, which as the name implies is 2 kicks. This is again taken from his fight with Miguel where he sends his ass back to the motherland. Now let's get into his awakening, which allows you to get the max version of your techniques. The first one is Lapse Blue Max, and it causes you to create this large ball that attracts everything to it and will stick around for a bit if you kill someone, but more on that in a second. You can use Lapse Blue Max exactly how Gojo did when used against Toji Fushiguro. The next attack is Red Reversal Max, and it allows you to shoot this devastating red at somebody. The basic attack looks like any one of Gojo's reversal reds because of how powerful he is, but there is a variant to this attack. If you shoot a red and you hold R, you will pull the ball back in. And yes, you can hit yourself with it, as you can see. But if I don't hit myself with it and I hit somebody else, it will pull them in for a black flash. This is a super lore accurate attack. In Gojo's battle against Sukuna, he shoots a red and makes it lap around the entire building before pulling Sukuna in to deliver a black flash. The next attack is one that everyone knows, and it is probably the most famous attack in all of JJK, Hollow Purple. Cause you to increase blue and red together and fire off this insane imaginary technique. This is an advanced technique that collides the lapse and reversal of Limitless, resulting in an imaginary mass that is launched at the target. Gojo has fired this multiple times, but this is probably most like the one he shot at Hanami in season 1. Finally, we got Gojo's domain expansion titled Infinite Void. This allows you to open up your domain where this guy will not be able to move, think, see, or hear for as long as the domain is activated. Unlimited Void in the manga is a metaphysical space that floods a person's brain with endless information, restraining them from essentially using it. This is exactly how it works in game, as you can tell by the symbols on top of their head. But there is a new special attack that you could do with this. But there is actually a new special attack you can use while being Gojo. If you press your awakening and spam R, while in this mode, everyone will be stunned just like they are in your domain expansion. You will be able to run around with insane attacks and then finish off with this cool, insane cutscene. This is a reference to season 2 of JJK, where Gojo could only cast his domain for 0.2 seconds to ensure the safety of the civilians while also trying to defeat the disaster curses in Choso. Now, Gojo to me is the strongest character in all of JJK, but unfortunately he lost to this bum. So the final and strongest character of today is the strongest of history, otherwise known as Heian era Sukuna. While in this mode, you are chaos. You cannot be stopped. The first move is Strong Dismantle, which looks like that. As the name implies, these are just stronger dismantles because Sukuna has his perfect body. There is a cool thing you could do for Strong Dismantle, because if I were to press R, I read some incantations, and these incantations will change my Strong Dismantle. The second one being just more slashes. And this is something that Sukuna has done numerous times, just like he did here. The next one is Disgrace Sovereign, and it allows you to just hover in the air while slashing everyone around you. This is probably inspired by Sukuna's spiderweb attack, where Sukuna utilizes cleave in the shape of a spiderweb. The next one will allow you to do a world-cutting slash, but much more like the slash that killed Gojo. If I press it right here, you just disappear. And yes, that cut through the entire map. Just like the slash that he did on Gojo, that affected time and space itself. Now, if you were to read all the incantations and not press Strong Dismantle at all, you will instead do this. The dismantle net is ripped right out of the manga and was the attack that Sukuna used to end Kashimo. The next attack is Open Furnace, which causes you to do this long ass startup and shoot a devastating fire blast that will burn and send anyone flying away with a shockwave. This is way more canonical than Vessel's Awakened Open attack because of the fact that you must charge it up. This is the exact motions that Sukuna goes through when he uses his Fuga in the manga. The next attack is Cleave Rush, which is a dash attack that forces you to run into somebody and slash their head off. The base attack looks similar to when Sukuna grabbed Yuji and slashed his body or his head. But there is a variant that you could do if you time this attack properly, just like a Black Flash. This kind of looks like the Black Flash he did on Choso since he held him. This kind of looks like the Black Flash that he did on Choso, but could also be the one on Maki or LaRue. And his final attack being Komutoke, which equips your curse tool and rains down lightning all around you. Originally used in the Heian era, Komutoke was created in modern day when Sukuna was about to face off Kashimo. This is exactly the curse tool that Sukuna used in his Heian era and the one that Yaoyorozu created in modern day. The last thing for this moveset is Incomplete Shrine. If I were to go into my awakening here, it will do something very special. Read, construct this, and then slash everything in the entire map. Yes, the true definition of an open domain. This is exactly like Sukuna's open domain in the anime, akin to painting on air without a canvas, aka a domain barrier that has an external weakness. There is one singular character in the game that I did not talk about, and that is Puppet Master. He's the latest early access character to the game and is based on Mecha Maru. Now, he only has his base moveset, but I can tell you where they all come from quickly. The first attack is Ultra Spin. It causes you to drill into your opponent just like that. Super Pause. pause. This is the first head-on attack he did against Panda, but it did not land. Now, there are variants for this attack for Puppet Master, which does the same thing but sends out a robot to do it for you. And I think this is just alluding to the fact that Mechamaru has made copies of himself in the past before. The second attack is Boost On, which allows you to boost into somebody and punch them away. I think this looks kind of similar to the backhand that he tried to land on Panda, but he got absolutely no diffed. The next attack is Ultra Cannon, which causes you to shoot a blast attack at somebody. If you were to charge this all the way up, you'd actually do something different. This is also taken from his fight with Panda during the Kyoto Sister Goodwill event. These are both taken from his fight with Panda during the Kyoto Sister Goodwill event. And last but not least, Puppet Barrage, which does that and makes you slam them down. This is not from any specific combo that he does, but is probably alluding to his fight against Mahito where he used all the clones. And that is every move in Jujutsu Shenanigans explained. If you enjoyed this and want to know the more in-depth details of why those characters were doing those things, or where the moves come from, their cosmetic changes, or their special, then click this playlist right here for all my explained videos. We're getting really close to hitting 100K, so please help your boy out. Millz Mafia out. Yeah.